afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suaveless day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence to pay.
Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous.
Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us.
Divine social interactions remains marvelous.
Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled, Dr. Brother Suave.
Divine light give you dull.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, intimacy coach, and your host of social therapy, Dr. Brother Suave. Listen, I'm so excited. Had surgery last week. Been challenging all week. I haven't been able to do some things, but I've learned to be able to look at the bottle half full. And so I pressed on this week. It was challenging, but I always try to look at the bottle half full instead of half empty and speak things into existence. So that leads me to today's topic. We're going to be talking about affirmations, energy, and manifestation. So those are some of the things we're going to be talking about. I have a very special guest on tonight. She's going to be on about 15 minutes late. She had a prior engagement. So hopefully we can have that dialogue with her, because I'm telling you, she is powerful. How you doing, Brother Curtis? I'm so happy you came in to support social therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. So tonight we're going to be talking about manifestation, affirmations, and energy. You know, the laws of attraction, speaking things into existence. You know, when I think about this, you know, when I was a kid, I did not know what manifestations were. I just always used to say things, and I wanted to get them accomplished. You know, we always say people do not fail to plan; they just fail the plan. And so those are one of the things I was always conscious of. Now, you know, life's we're going to have our hiccups, our bumps, our bruises, get sidetracked. But one of the biggest things that we can do ourselves some service is try to stay committed, and also speak those things into existence. How you doing, Sorrel? How you doing? And speak those things to existence. So those are things I realized. And so as a kid, I used to sit there and say, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to finish college. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to work in the area of mental health. I'm going to write some books. I'm going to get married and have a kid and just do some of the things. Now, in between those times, you know, you can get sidetracked, but when you stay focused, you really don't. A lot of times we like to use other people as a justification why we fail our plan. But the reality is you have to really believe in yourself, but also understand how important energy is. Energy is so important. You have to have a positive mindset, and you have to be able to understand how important your dreams and your words are. See, God is indefinite. He's unlimited. He's everything. The universe is constantly producing. And when I say producing, it is so much out there and resources to give you your heart, everything that you desire in your heart. But you gotta believe, you gotta affirm, you gotta work hard for it. You know how sometimes say faith without works is dead? Oh yes, you can believe all you want to, but you gotta put it in the work. You understand? So there's always a power in words. You just can't say things and understand how contrary and how it can be counterproductive to the things you have in your heart. It really bothers me when I hear people that are so pessimistic and always say, I can't do this, you can't do this, then project their shortcomings onto you. Yes, I don't like that. And it's my belief, this is Dr. Brother Suave philosophy, is that words have meaning, but I also believe that I can is so much easier to say than I can't. You know, you have to be mindful of that stuff. And so when people say, always putting these things up, they wonder why their life is filled with rejection, disappointments, and hardships, because they don't have a positive energy mindset. You know, I remember just sometimes I hear someone propose a positive question on social media, And sometimes they'll say, well, where all the good men are. And it never fails. In jail, with another man, doing something bad. It's always negative. And these people wonder why they have so much hurt in their heart, so much failure in their life, and so many disappointments through their journey, because they always saying negative things. You know, you can always change the mindset and change the outcomes by the words you speak. You have to be mindful of that. And that's why I always tell people, words have meaning. You know, a lot of times people always saying, well, that's not what I meant. But I don't think nobody's rushing you to say something. Be intentional. Think about what you're saying. Think about the outcomes. Think about how you're bitter. Think about how bitter, because remember, what comes out the mouth is actually an indication of what's in your heart. And so being more conscious of what you say. I always tell people, be more conscious of what you say. It's almost like, and I don't know how I quote this scripture, but it was like, but those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart, and they defile the man. So I look at sometimes people say things, and in their heart they're hurt, they're bitter, and they don't believe that they're going to have a outcome, a positive outcome. So they defile in their life and their situation and themselves. I just believe that. So you got to be conscious of what comes out and be intentional on everything you say. You got to always remember to try to be positive. There you go. Sorry about that. I hit the button and brought me up. But anyway, at the end of the day, we have to be mindful of how words count. They have meanings. So with my life coaching clients, you know what I tend to do every single year about having a level of gratitude and reflecting. So every year I have these one-on-ones with my clients at the beginning of the year and ask them these few questions. So what I'm going to read them off to you. There's about 16 of them. It's pretty short. So it's called Life Reflections, or whatever year it is. So this year have been 2022 Life Reflections. And it says, you know, I asked a client, what did you learn from this year? How you doing, Brother Vanless? Suave-tastic. How you doing? Appreciate you. So I asked some client, what did you learn this year? You know, I asked them, want to know what they're thinking about, what they learned, how to avoid those things. And I asked them, what did they accomplish? Because you want to be mindful. And like I say, being intentional. What did you do? What did you accomplish? You should not be the same person you was this year and last year. How you doing, Sister Dana? I'm so happy. You always enjoying. Listen, this young lady, she is always such a positive person. Her husband and her kids, man, she's always, oh man, it's just an inspiration. So anyway, I do ask them, do they have any regrets? You know, like I always say, one of the most painful experiences in life is the pain of regret. And sometimes it's okay. A lot of people say, I have no regrets. Well, I don't always believe them. But again, we do have to appreciate those learning experiences. So again, those are some of the things I ask. And I say, what would you do differently and why? You know, another one is, what did you do right? Because it's just like when I'm talking to people, they get upset when I'm redirecting them or correcting them. But also I've learned to edify people. It says, yes, we should constantly be growing. Yes, exactly. We should not be the same person we were last year. I always ask people when I call them, I haven't spoken to them in a while. I said, how you doing? It's the same old, same old. Oh, wow. So I didn't speak to you in about 4 months and it's the same. Or another thing where people sit there, and again, being conscious and intentional with the words that you speak. So when people ask me, well, it's the same. They go, I ain't gonna change. Unbeknownst to them, they actually saying, I'm stuck in the same place I was this year, last year, and the other year. But again, you have to be mindful and thinking about. That's why I say being conscious. And so here's another one. What were some things? I mean, what were some of my most difficult challenges? We have challenges all the time. I know I have challenges. I mean, I had surgery last Thursday and I'm in pain now. I took some painkillers, but you have to sometimes press through. But it's a challenge. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. I actually, I have some things on 10 Commandments of Challenges, a affirmation book that I wrote. And so, what am I appreciative? Again, being grateful. What am I appreciative of? We can be hard on ourselves, but also we got to be grateful. I'm appreciative, as I say every day. I thank God for waking me up to see another day I never seen before. I thank God for another day to get it right. So I'm always being grateful. This is a daily thing I do because I mean, here it is, a person who came out of Opalaka. It was not one of those great cities, even though we say the great city of Opalaka, but it was a dangerous place and it's still been dangerous. But I thank God for allowing me to do the things I have done. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be living. I'm grateful to have made it back from combat. I'm grateful to have retired. I'm grateful to have great health. So I'm grateful. So I have to be mindful and be appreciative and not be pessimistic, but more optimistic. And also, do I love myself some me? Of course I do. A lot of people say it, but their actions are not consistent with the words. So again, our words have to be consistent with our actions. And have I addressed any traumatic situations? I'm going to go in with this talking about have we addressed some traumatic situations. A lot of times we have had traumatic situations, but we take them for granted. We always act like everything's all right. And the reality, when things go unaddressed, it gets progressively worse. And we have to be mindful of that. Here's the thing, learning about PTSD, learning about trauma. And I tell people, I just laugh, not laugh, but laugh with empathy because I'm like, man, they have no idea the damage they're doing themselves. It's like fear. You have to confront it. You can't pretend it didn't happen. Like trauma, you can't pretend it didn't happen. You're just suppressing it, and then you don't learn how to deal with it. It just lingers around and gets worse. Like I say, anything going unaddressed, it progressively gets worse. So we have to be mindful of those things. And here's some more. Have or am I preparing to go to the next level of whatever year that you're in? You have to prepare. Are you prepared? And you have to be honest with yourself. Okay. Will I subscribe to the things in 2023 that I did in 2022 that were proven to be counterproductive? Again, Kegler said that you should constantly be getting better. And so you can't subscribe to the things that were proven to be counterproductive that you did last year and doing the same thing this year. You got to be mindful and hold yourself accountable. And if you don't have the ability to hold yourself accountable, then you need to either subscribe to some services or have an accountability person in your life, because it's obviously you don't have the control that you think you do. And also, will I push myself a little harder? Charles Cumming, thank you. That's called insanity. Yes, exactly. So again, will I push myself harder? And again, if you can't do it, you need to get you a coach or a therapist. Will I follow through? Oh man, that's one of the biggest things we do. We don't follow through. I always say, and I hear people subscribe to these counterproductive things. Oh, you do better when you know better. You do not. You do not. You do not. You do better through the application of discipline and follow through. People think knowledge changes things. No, action does. And you do that with the information you have. And that's so important. And will I stay committed? Again, follow through. You have to be committed to yourself. And as I said earlier, people don't fail to plan. They just fail the plan. So again, your words have to be consistent with your actions. So I just say this because in our segment today, we're going to be talking about affirmations, manifestations, and energy. So you got to be able to manifest things, knowing the definition. You got to be able to understand affirmations and affirming these things in order to definition. And you got to know how important energy is, because if your energy low, yeah, you're not going to be motivated to do the things you want to do. So I just wanted to share that with you. And this one thing I wanted to share what I was saying about sometimes we have challenges in our life. And it's I have a series, and it's the commandment series. The first one was the 10 Commandments of Intimacy, guidelines to building strong, healthy, and compatible relationships from a social, spiritual, and clinical perspective. You know? And so the second one is I'm just going to address this one, and it's called the 10 Commandments of Challenges. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I'm definitely going to give you some little nuggets of what I'm going to be talking about. So the 10 Commandments of Challenges, sometimes you got to get tired of yourself and your excuses. And you start with challenging yourself in some of the social constructs that have influenced the way you think, especially those negative ones. Because again, I can is easier to say than I can't, but so many people are so pessimistic and projecting their hard feelings onto you. This is how we have to do it. So tonight, I'm not going to go on. I just want to just give you that one. I was going to share it with you, but I'm not going to do it. So here's the deal. I'm going to get ready to bring on our sister. So let me just tell you a little bit about our very special guest tonight. As I put in the flyer, ready or not, here she comes. So my special guest is Elyse Sadler. She's going to be discussing the power of manifestation and energy and affirmations. So she's a graduate of North Carolina Central University. She has a degree in business administration. She currently works as supply management for an international motorcycle company, and she is the proud owner of Create Entertainment. This is a company that provides clients with opportunity to book various creatives and cater to their entertainment and business needs. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my wonderful and talented and beautiful and creative guest, Miss Elyse Sadler.
Hi.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Looking all suave, adorable, suave-tastic. Oh, look at you.
You know what? I just love the fact that your whole face just lit up when I came on screen. I'm just like, yay!
Oh, yes, yes. Well, you know how they say body language, that it means a lot, So I'm excited because, energy, when we first met, you always was a great person. And you know how people positive gravitates to positive. I always wonder why people say opposites attract. I think good energy attract,
I absolutely, I agree.
And so, knowing you for these years, man, it's just always been positive energy. I always enjoy your space. I'm grateful for when you brought me on your podcast, and I just appreciate you, and one of the things is always keeping connected, being connected with good people, or should I say great people?
Absolutely.
You don't have to talk every day, but when you see them, it's a positive energy exchange.
That's
so
it.
Thank you so much. So before we get together, I just want you to tell the audience just a little bit about yourself. I was a little struggling over there when I was trying to read the background because I got a message that you was on. So
no, you did amazing, honey. You did amazing.
Can you before we go forward, what does amazing mean? I heard of Suave amazing.
I'm sorry. Woo, I forgot what show I was on. I'm doing Suave amazing.
Energy. Like Dan, let's say energy.
Hey, beautiful. Thank you.
Yes. So again, just tell, just a little basics, a little bit about yourself, okay?
Just a little bit about me. I am literally an ordinary person that does extraordinary things. And I'm a small town girl, grew up in a small town called Belmont, North Carolina. and realized that small town couldn't cage me in. I got exposed to some the big world early. And when I got a whiff of it, I just set my trail blazing to go explore it. And I've been on that trail ever since. Just a small portion about me. I come from a huge family. So love is who I am, and it's what I do. It's what I came from. Of course, it has its struggles. It has its obstacles that I've had to get through. Definitely had to come and define that for myself. But at the end of the day, I am proud to say that I am a Black woman that came from an amazing tribe of amazing people that raised me, that loved me, that sheltered me, that allowed me to, be who I am, and they see me flourishing today. And all I can say is I'm grateful every single day I wake up to be able to empower others and show other people their superpower, because at the end of the day, guess what, Brother Suave? We all we got.
We all we got. We all we got. Listen, y'all need to hear that, and don't just say how people like just quote scripture. Understand and take that to your heart. We all we got, and I don't know when it's going to finally get to us, because at the end of the day, we're constantly seeing lives taken. We constantly seeing all these things, and at the end of the day, we all we got.
That's it.
They're not going to hear our story. They're not going to hear anything. They're going to provide empathy. So we got to learn to give that positive energy back into us, because we are greatness. We are kings and queens. We come from kings and queens. And that's why I'm so happy you edifying where you come from. And a lot of times, a lot of people had trauma, but guess what? Family is not always defined by the biology, the blood.
That's it.
You can go ahead, because guess what, y'all? We family, me and her.
That's it.
I mean, think about it. We support each other. We love each other. And people are so afraid to say love without thinking somebody's going to misinterpret. The guys having a hard time telling the ladies they love them, thinking about how they're going to interpret, and vice versa. And the guys have a problem. They always got to give disclaimer, no homo. Listen, I love you. And I'm like, God darn, don't overthink it.
Don't overdo it, and let it just be. Let it just be. If you're open to that frequency, then allow yourself to be refueled and to be refilled by it, because you deserve it. The love you give out, you deserve to get back in return. So allow yourself to receive that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people are not conscious of what words mean.
Yes.
They're not conscious of that. They have a definition for its own reason. So when we're talking about affirmations, manifestation, and energy, so we have to understand the power of words. So in your opinion, why do you think it's important to define words?
So have you ever had a conversation with someone and you thought you were on the same page with them, and they said a word, and you was listening to that word, and you was like, wait a minute. I know the definition of the word, but where they're going right now doesn't sound like the same definition that I am looking at, because with this whole language thing, learning to and having to define words, you actually learn to express yourself. We have these things inside called feelings. We have these ways of wanting to make sure that we put ourselves in a position to be able to articulate ourselves. And we articulate that ourselves using what? Words. So you have to define the things that you mean. You have to be able to show up and define those things so that you can clearly communicate how it is that you feel, what it is that you want, what it is that you need. We do it from the time we are kids. We are taught, these are what these things are. This is what this is. In order for me to grant you what it is that you want, you got to tell me what it is. And so, at the end of the day, having those words and defining what those words is are important so that we can make sure that we get the things that we want.
Yeah. You know what? When you start answering my question, I had a traumatic experience. The reason is because one of the things I experienced in my life in a relationship is like, I felt like it's something going on here. I'm missing something, because words have meanings.
Yes, they do.
Sometimes people, because this leads to my next question. You will say something and they're not on the same page, and you will say it, and I'm like, uh, I don't know, because I know you must be the only person on earth to find that word as that, because that don't mean that at all.
Right.
At all. And I'm talking about, but you know how some people, well, that ain't what I meant. I'm not rushing you like I was doing on my monologue. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And when you say something that makes absolutely no sense, have the integrity and say, wait, hold on. I said the wrong thing. Or I interpreted it this way, or I have a learning disability.
Right.
Something.
Right. And to add on to that, it's because what you heard may not have been what may have not been what I meant. Sometimes people be like, they got these little memes. I said what I said. Okay. It's not like I didn't hear what you said, but what I heard was different because I have a different definition of what that word means. You know what I'm saying? And so now you can find yourself out of alignment, a lot of people from a religious standpoint, I grew up Baptist. I'm no longer religious, very spiritual, which means I come from an inward place and not necessarily an outward, but they say not equally yoked, meaning this conversation is going to be very hard for us to continue to have if we don't scale back and say, okay, wait a minute, what do you mean by this word? Because this means this to me. So having those shared definitions is important, because if you don't have those shared definitions, who knows what y'all talking about, honey? The Urban Dictionary and the Webster Dictionary is two different dictionaries.
Okay. Did that, I don't know if I heard this, but I believe I did, because I was going to ask you this, and use the word shared definition. And my next question was, why is it important to have shared definitions when conversing? Because sometimes it's like, for example, culturally. So let's say another culture is listening to our conversation.
Right.
And so we talking, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? And they're like, wait, are they feeling each other? Long time ago, we used to call that pig Latin, and so we have a shared definition, but on the other hand, I know words have meaning, but sometimes people themselves, not the world,
right,
have a definition of a word, and the world is lost. Even the people in your own culture. So that's why I say sometimes you just got to give and say, listen, I made a mistake. I have some learning disabilities or some struggles comprehending or communicating. So you give them, I tell people, humility brings grace.
That was literally going to say that. You have to give people grace because you want people to give you that same grace back. I think oftentimes we fail to forget we're on the other end sometimes. We are not the highest. If you the best thing in the room, you in the wrong room. You need to be in places that challenge you, people that have different perspectives, because different perspectives lead you the opportunity to grow. It leaves you the opportunity to say, I only thought this path, but I'm getting so many different perspectives that I'm realizing there's so many different ways to do this life things, and I get to choose because I'm getting inundated with so many different perspectives, and that's a beautiful thing.
It is a Suave amazing thing.
Suave amazing.
Yes, it is, because this is why some people say how we can coexist. It's the same thing like food. You get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and you diversify. Your pilots learn that there's different things out there. That's what information is. I mean, we're talking about we're in an information world. And for years, you had people who did not know anything. Now they can tell you certain things on the other side of the world because we have information and learning. So it's important that, again, when you are the smartest one in the room, you may want to go to another room.
That's true. That is very true.
Yes. And so and as we was talking about, again, words and then the interpretation of words. And so why do you think understanding someone's interpretation of the words are important? Because I think, again, what I was saying to other people, like, they're saying they feeling each other. And they kept saying fan though.
And don't, you know what? As you bring that point, don't be afraid to ask someone, what does that mean? Because oftentimes in conversation, we'll get lost and we'll start to continue to go with our own assumptions instead of just saying,
Right.
okay, I'm lost. At this point, I get we were on one accord, we were cool, we were on the same page, on the same wavelength, but now you said something and I'm off. So let me ask you, because that's the grace in it. Grace is giving yourself the acknowledgement to know, okay, wait a minute, I'm not comprehending. I want to know, though. I want to understand because I want to continue to learn and I want to continue this conversation. So let's put ourselves in the standpoint of saying, okay, let me ask this individual so I can get clarity. Once you get clarity, you get direction, and the direction is in the understanding.
You know, getting clarity and asking the questions has to begin with yourself, and being humble. It's like, people always say, Suave, you just asked me what this meant. All this education, you don't know me. Listen, I don't know. But guess what? I got enough humility to ask a question, because guess what? The split second I don't know, the split second I ask the question, the split second you answer, the split second I know.
Yep, absolutely. That quick.
So guess what? Yeah, so I would never, and a lot of times I quote myself, but I would never let my ego be bigger than my accomplishments.
That's it. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but I say it because I think about the things I say and be intentional. We can't let our ego be bigger than our accomplishment. I remember 2009, during the recession, and I had lost my business. I had made so much money, more money than I ever made in my life. And then I lost everything. And I had, my 3 sons, and, have the 2 in the house with me, and 1 is not. And it was a very emotional, economically challenging time. But I had to understand the importance of doing what's in the best interest of my family.
Right.
And I had to be humble.
Yeah.
You're talking about, I was working on my doctorate. I had to quit that. I had to sell everything in the house. I'd sell my paintings because I invested in paintings. I had to sell my refrigerator. I had to sell everything. And I had never, that was my first time even renting an apartment. You're talking about, I was like 40 something years old and never had an apartment. I always stayed in the house. I bought a house. And so it was sort of crazy,
Yeah.
But humility. So and then I dropped out of the doctorate program. During that time, if you had degrees, you just will say, I don't have a degree, and just go with a high school diploma, because they know that people will quit. Right. I had to reinvent my resume, keep it at high school, took a $7 hour job. You hear what I said?
I did.
Taking a 7-hour job. And so I put all that ego and that pride aside for the best interest of finding some way to provide for my kids. So when the ball started rolling, when I was making money, I was like, hey, I'm not that much money. I'm talking about the $7 hour job.
Yep.
I said, this is what we're going to do. The money that I make, that little bit of money I make, it's going to keep the lights. It's going to keep gas and basic utilities so we can eat. We didn't have cable.
And it's going to keep you going to go to the next opportunity.
Yeah, it did. and then guess what? I say, remember, this is humility. I didn't use a penny on food. I went to food banks, and that fed us. I said, we can't do it. Every penny counts.
Yep.
And so this is why I always say humility. And so as I was doing on the monologue, there's enough resources out there for everybody. It's just that you have to align with, gratitude opens a lot of doors for us in life.
Yes, it
so
does.
I think the more gratitude you have, the more the universe opens opportunities for you. Because I wasn't going to stay in that place a long time.
Right.
But I was grateful.
And in that gratitude, it's the affirmations that you tell yourself, in that time, in order to help get get you through that. Those affirmations are absolutely important, because when you know what those affirmations do, it helps you with the manifestations. It helps you take a hold of those opportunities. So, I know one of the biggest things that we were talking about, prior to the show, discussing the content, was affirmations and manifestations. And I'm so glad that you led off with definitions, because one of the things that I wanted to do was to talk about, like, I wanted to give the definitions before we got into the actual the discussion of affirmations and manifestations. I wanted to give the definitions of where I was coming from.
We'll do that. Let
So,
us know.
so that the people in the internet land can know exactly where Elyse Sadler, aka Luna Love, is coming from.
The souvenirs. The souvenirs. I defined that last week. The souvenirs.
So let's get into this. So define affirmation. And the root word of affirmation is affirm. So I'm going to define both affirmation, and then I'm going to define affirm as well too. So, and I'm using this from the Webster Dictionary. Define affirmation: the action or process of affirming something or being affirmed. The definition of affirm: state as a fact or assert strongly and publicly. Now we got those two definitions. Here we go. Define manifest: it's a verb to display or show, and you can do that by a quality or a feeling, by one's actions or appearance, or to demonstrate. And as an adjective, it is used as to clear or to gain clear or obvious, to be clear or obvious to the eye or to the mind. And so I wanted to get that definition because, I wanted people to know where I was personally speaking from, so they can kind of follow along with the conversation.
Okay, with your bad self. So again, and so let's say you got a person like me who's slow and didn't know if there was a difference between the two.
And I'm glad you asked. So the difference between affirmation and manifestation: affirmations are focused on the present moment, while manifesting involves creating a future reality. I'm gonna break it down some more so y'all can get it. When you affirm something, you're stating that it's already true for you in this moment, in that present moment, right? Manifesting, on the other hand, requires believing that what you want is possible, and all right, and then taking action to bring it into your life. All right. So that's the difference there. And I'm giving an example. All right. You've been working on public speaking for a while. Sometimes public speaking is a hard battle for some people to get through, right? So you've been working on public speaking for a while, and you've been working on building your confidence. Now, you have a huge speech to deliver. Right before that speech, you backstage, you're getting ready, you're pumping yourself up. The things that you tell yourselves: I am brave, I am confident, I am sure, I am prepared. All those are affirmations, because you're backstage, and in that moment, you're giving that affirmation to yourself. In that moment, that's how you feel. However, now it's time for you to step on stage. Now, because you have spent hours practicing and you have your notes prepared, you believe so much that the things that you affirm, all right, the things that you done been prepared, you got all this stuff done, you spent hours practicing, and you have your notes prepared. You believe so much that you are the things that you have affirmed, that you push through all the anxiety, and you show up in the present moment of that speech to be all that you affirmed, and you end up killing the presentation. That's how manifestation happens. And so, I wanted to explain that because people have oftentimes lacked the understanding of thinking that just the affirmations is going to bring manifestations. No, baby, you got to work.
Yes.
You got to work. You got to put in that discipline. You have to be self-disciplined. You have to be self-aware. You have to allow yourself to be those things, because the only thing manifesting does is allow room for opportunities. When those life opportunities come, that's manifestation. But whether or not you're going to be those things or not, that's totally up to you.
Absolutely. And that's why, Dr. Brother Suave, I'm always talking about social, spiritual, and clinical perspectives. Because again, you're talking about like some people are religious and they say, well, faith without works is dead, but you have to put the work in.
You
You can
do.
be confident all you work, but
You absolutely do.
you got to be able to perform. You know how many people say, "Oh, I'm gonna make it to the NBA"? That's just words.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to physically do it because the NBA ain't easy to get to.
You ain't lying.
You know,
and that's a good point, Suave, Brother Suave, because a lot, some places in life ain't easy to get to. And what happens is social media can make it seem like it's ballooned and everybody is living these extravagant, these idealistic lives. And idealistic is just that. It's just ideals. It's here. You've created a world for someone else that you don't even know about. You literally have looked at their highlight reel, and in your mind, you've created this whole world. So you have to be careful because that's only a highlight. It's only ideals. You have to then come back and say, how does that look for me? What does that look like for me?
Yeah. It reminds me of, you know how a kid can do this? Like with the basketball, boy, I'm doing good. Boy, I'm doing good.
Ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, and I'm like, but guess what? They ain't shot yet. They just they done did this so much between their legs and don't even know how to shoot.
Right.
But in their head, they got game.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put them out there in the court, they don't know how to shoot. They don't know how to do anything. It's almost like, how the people and I'm guilty of this. I don't know how to dance.
Yeah.
Put me on the dance floor. I'm gonna be two-stepping. So again, you can put this all in your head, but you're gonna have to do it. You got to work hard and make it become a reality.
Right? Absolutely.
And I think more people got to understand that. So and again, we're talking about that mindset and energy. So because I know you define manifestations, affirmations, and affirm. So let's talk about energy.
Okay.
So, because I know I try to have a positive energy, but I also can have a negative energy, and that's negative energy as a result of a reaction to another negative energy.
Right.
I'm not just going to bring in some BS, some negative energy, because that's not my makeup. That's not who I am.
Right.
But sometimes people just come in with a negative energy unprovoked because that's who they are.
Yep, absolutely. And in defining what energy is the strength and vitality required for sustained physical and mental activity. And I know some people are like, wait, what? Just let me give you just a quick example. You're going to the gym and you ready, you pumped to work out. You're like, woo, I'm about to go get these weights in. I'm about to bulk up, get my strength back up. You didn't eat, you didn't drink. So you get to the gym and you start working out and you realize, I am so tired. Like I'm fatigued. I'm lightheaded. I'm about to pass out. You know why? Because you didn't give your body energy. You didn't feed it. You didn't water it. You didn't allow it to do anything. Like you literally set your body up for failure because you didn't give it energy in order to give it output. So energy is literally in. What you put in is going to help you put out.
I need a high five on that.
Hey.
Yes. And so it just makes me think when you say energy, and I would hear people, how words trend and they trend for a reason, because sometimes it's all of us learning about things, and remember words and what they means. And so a lot of times I hear people were saying, what does it mean to me and why it's important, and how do I protect my energy?
Yes.
So what would be your advice in terms of one, learning why it's important that we do it and how we protect our energy?
So to me, energy is fuel for how you want to show up in this life. You really have to, if you want to be happy, how do you feed happiness? If you want to be joyous, how do you feed joyous? So you have to make sure that in order for you to be that energy in life, you have to really find what it is that you need in order to fulfill that thing. you know? And then it's like, I know me. Like, I know me enough to know. One of the questions that I ask myself every morning I get out the bed, I'm grateful. Thank God for another opportunity, another day. The second question, after being grateful, the first question I ask myself is, how do I want to show up today? What energy do I want to show up as? Consistently, who do I want people to see? How do I want to be? And you know what? I had to also kind of alter it just a little bit to say, because sometimes we can try to show up in energy that we want people to see versus energy that we want to be, you know? And so you have to kind of make sure you say, okay, you know what? It's not about other people. How do I want to show up? So for me, you know, personally, like, I want to show up as joyous, happy, grateful, loving, and optimistic. So I have to feed those things.
As you see, the person said 5 P's. Maybe you want to respond to that. It says, Vanless Lee says, proper preparation prevents poor performances.
Yep. You know what? And it's almost like that saying that says luck favors the prepared, right? Manifestation, you know, just a little bit kind of goes in there. When you're able to be prepared, when those opportunities come up, you're going to be like, oh, put me in there. I'm ready, coach. That way you're able to then know yourself enough to know, if you are good enough for this, you may get selected for it. But even if you're not selected for it, you're able to say, I stepped up, I did my best. And if my best wasn't good enough, I'm still proud of me for being able to face my fears and go through that and be prepared enough to even have the opportunity to do it. And then scaling it back to say, well, what can I do better? You know what I'm saying? So that's I think that's a great segue to those, what is it, 4 or 5 P's?
Okay. Listen, we definitely overpassed our time for our station identification. So what we're gonna do is go into that, and then we'll be right back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard?
What's up, everyone? I'm Brandy the Disconnector, wife, show host, entrepreneur, investor, and ICS certified life coach, here to tell you that I'm on NPN TV, the network that is by us and for us. Lock in and let's get it.
Hello, my name is Goma Marie Conde. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified trauma counselor, and I am on NPN TV.
How you doing? We're back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave and our very special guest, Elyse Sadler. We were just talking about energy and ways to protect our energy and what energy means. And so I wanted to ask you a personal question, but I also wanted to go into, as we transition, as we have about 9 more minutes left. So when we're talking about energy, and So it's a serious question. What do you think my energy is when you first met me?
You know what? I could tell that you have been feeding yourself very much a lot of positivity, because your energy, the output that I got from you was sure, sure of yourself. You were very confident in yourself, but you also was a great listener. You know, that's one thing that I really appreciated about you. You were a great listener. You were able to listen and share the perspectives, share your perspective, but be bold enough as well too to allow opportunity and room for, if someone said something that was out of pocket, that you didn't have a problem with, not it's not a thing of checking them, but of saying, hey, that is your perspective, but there's so many other perspectives around here as well too. So just be mindful of appreciating the different versatile people that you have in front of you. So
Yeah.
I was amazed by that presentation, and I will always say I was blown away, because you stepped in and you was like, this is who I am, and I ain't have to guess. And because I ain't have to guess, I was like, I can be down with Brother Suave.
Yeah, I think we do have to, again, have a level of understanding that is different perspectives out there.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Absolutely.
like it's just like, and you know, it's so funny when people always tell me, Suave, that ain't how therapists act. I'm like, oh, really? You telling me about my profession, all the different modalities? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's different ways of practicing. I guess you watch
Absolutely.
TV and think I'm going to sit back and like, yes. And it's just not like that. And so I wanted to go into the business, because people need to know what you're doing, and oh my God, the stuff I seen you hosting, and I don't know. I thought you was born for it, because you have the charisma, you have the personality, you got on point, and it's like all eyes on you. So how can someone contact you to host an event, and tell us the name of it and how you founded it?
So, as far as hosting is concerned, hosting is definitely a gift that I have developed into a talent. And it's always because people may forget your name, they may forget where you met them at, how they met you, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And
Absolutely.
and so it's because of that. Hosting to me is about placing different energies under one vibe, and
Ooh.
I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to take that, place them under one vibe, and collectively make an event successful. And so that's a passion of mine. So if you walk away from your event and you remember it, or if you want to walk away from it, if you want people to walk away from your event and you want them to remember it, then you got to book me. That's the only way. It's the only way people are going to say, oh my God, I just, this is so amazing. I loved it. Because I allow the audience, or I make the audience aware of the flow of your event in a very entertaining way.
You
So,
do.
yeah.
You do.
And
I mean,
that's why I created Create Entertainment, and that's CRE, the number 8, entertainment. I created that because creators are hungry. They're hungry to be able to create, to be able to do what passionately comes naturally to them. And people are looking to bring their ideas to life. Like they are.
yeah.
There's so many people that are looking to bring their visions, that they sit down and wake up and have a dream and they be like, oh, I need to capitalize on this. But
Yeah.
it takes us all, you know. I'm literally a hub that connects creators with other creators, because it takes a team to bring your vision to life. So if you need videographers, photographers, DJs, a host, you need website design, you need graphic designs, anything from an artistic standpoint, from a creative standpoint, you need to bring your vision to life, whether or not that's personally and event wise, or that's business, go to Create, and that's CRE, the letter 8, ENT.com.
Wow. Because I mean, and so where are you primarily located, or do you travel? I mean,
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I definitely do travel. I love to travel. And so, yes, you can definitely book me from a hosting standpoint. You can book me on the website, or you can give me a call at 803. I'm going to say it slow because y'all need to get this. 803-810-5580.
Yes, yes. So in about 45 days, I'm gonna be over there in the A. Hey,
Hey.
hey. So I'm gonna be there. So I'm going to try to bring back the Black woman's dialogue back to
Okay.
the A, you know. And I would love to have you host. Bring
Oh
your
man.
energy.
Hey,
Yes.
let's go ahead and talk backstage about this then.
Yes.
We're gonna put some things in work. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Because the thing is, people don't understand how, oh, Brother Van said levels to this. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So when you have people who have great energy, it's just people don't understand. They always say, well, I'm opening for that opening act is so significant to the outcome. They get the people energized, connected. They make even if the main event wasn't as they planned or anticipated, they got a feeling how that thing started.
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
gonna like, yeah, that job was lit, man. It fizzled out, but it was lit.
Yeah.
That's what hosts do. Hosts
Yeah.
gonna have that job straight. Even listen, let me tell you something. It was like 1993. You know Kim Cole from Living Single?
Mm-hmm.
All right, she was a headliner. And I don't know if you ever heard of Simply Marvelous.
I haven't.
She is like a person like a big common like hurricane,
Oh, okay.
earthquake,
Okay. Yeah.
but earthquake never made it to the mainstream.
Uh-huh.
So she was one of the best in the business. She just never made it to mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim Cole was messing up. So she was the host. Man, Simply Marvelous came in there and just took over and everybody. And so this is what I'm saying. When you a host and when you have charisma and talent, man, you make the show.
Yeah.
They don't want anybody to host. They don't want anybody to host.
Absolutely.
People can, people who can't perform, that host is going to fill in the gaps.
Absolutely, they are. And you guys listen. Book Elyse Sadler is definitely my name, but my hosting name is Luna Love. So bring Luna Love to your next event. You will never regret it.
And so I'm listening to you. And again, this is why, people say, were you confident? No, I say I'm suave. So when you hear you talk, you're so confident. You're so self-assuring. So how did you become so confident and self-aware?
Practice, discipline, definitely. It's trial and error. One thing that I had to do is I had to accept myself. That's the biggest thing. I had to accept me. I had to love me. I had to learn to love me. I had to be all right with forgiving and letting go and moving on, because that's a weight that will allow yourself to be weighted down. So you got to be brave enough to walk in your truth. Like that's the one biggest thing. You really have to be brave enough to walk in your truth. We only get one of these life things, y'all. One. That's it. And you're going to go by yourself. So you got to be brave enough to say, this is who I am, so that you can align with the right people in life. If you keep faking, you're going to continue to get around fake people. Once you become real, that's when life starts happening.
You think you're bad. That's what it is.
I knew that was coming.
So what advice you would give to, offer to upcoming entrepreneurs, because a lot of times people are trying their best to become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Full-time or part-time, but entrepreneur nonetheless. What advice would you give them?
Number one, be proud of yourself. It's a huge accomplishment to say I want to be an entrepreneur and a trek on that journey of being one. So be proud of yourself. Two, make sure that you build those connections. Build a team. Stop saying you're doing it by yourself. You're not. Nobody ever did anything by themselves. It takes people. And I promise you will get burnt. You will get disappointed, but continue to push through, because learn from those disappointments. Don't learn to not want to work with people. Learn to not want to work with those type of people. Learn the characteristics, learn the traits so that you can get with the right people. And lastly, I would say, Make your business plan. You can't do nothing without a plan. Make your business plan, define what it is that your business is so that you can make sure you're on the right trajectory of getting the right audience and getting your product and or service to the right market.
Oh, great advice. Listen, it has been a wonderful experience. I told you guys you was going to learn a lot. She's incredible, brilliant, very entertaining, and smart, beautiful, suave, amazing, So I thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed myself. I appreciate the opportunity.
And for those listening, if you think you learned something from tonight's broadcast, be sure to sow into the broadcast by going Cash App Suave R Walker. That's SUAVERWALKER. And just always remember this information that we have. This is not just for entertainment, but it's for multiple reasons. Entertainment is one, but also education, enlightening, and empowering. So remember that. And so always remember my quote: great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye. Stay on.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice, got voice. You heard? Programs like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlisters Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers